Wow. Hi there. I'm Justin Russo, and this is Check Your Luggage. Today we are at the TWA Hotel at New York's JFK Airport. In this episode, we're taking a step back in time to when we all dressed up to fly and when flying made you a jet setter. Okay, aside from my Mad Men fantasy I just lived out, we're not really going back in time, but the moment you take a step at the TWA Hotel, you feel fully transported. And let me tell you something, I am feeling the 60s vibe. It's groovy, baby. I'm sitting here in the sunken lounge that was part of the original TWA terminal. It was built in 1962 and designed by architect Eero Saarinen. Saarinen was considered one of the forefronts and the preeminent architects of the mid-century modern design. In 2019, the terminal was refurbished to become the TWA Hotel. The Saarinen building maintains the center of the hotel with over 500 plus rooms surrounding it. And largely everything has remained intact except for the additions of a check-in area, a cafe, a lounge, and historical exhibits which honor the airline's past. Oh, and it even has its own plane, Connie, which cleverly doubles as a cocktail lounge. So why am I at the TWA Hotel and at an airport? For one, it's one of the best locations for any New Yorker's staycation. And it's also the inspiration for this episode's other location. If you haven't guessed it yet, it's Palm Springs. That's where we get to see Don Draper be Don Draper. Frank Sinatra released Come Fly With Me in January of 1958. And on the cover of that album was featured a Lockheed Constellation with TWA livery, much akin to our TWA's Connie. However, it wasn't until October of that year that a passenger can take a transatlantic flight from NYC to Paris. But that was on Pan Am, TWA's biggest competitor of the era. Come on, come fly with me. Speaking of old blue eyes, Frankie, he may have sang about New York or Chicago, but Palm Springs was truly his home. It seems that the jet set age and mid-century modernism really came together, and to this day, it still is relevant and remains about the same. Palm Springs is a really cool place to hang out. You could spot a celebrity or two, the weather is always beautiful and enjoyable, and the environment is really relaxed. It also hosts a plethora of queer events, like the annual International Bear Convergence. There are also several concerts with megastars like Barry Manilow or Vanessa L. Williams, just to name a few. I was able to talk to Brad Fuhrer about this and all things Palm Springs on a recent visit.
Day in Palm Springs.
I have been here for a few days and I don't think I saw a cloud.
We kept them away just for you.
Oh, I love that.
Brad, tell me about some of the nightlife here in Palm Springs.
What I'm really excited about is two bars, Eagle 501. The other one, their sister bar, is the Barracks, and that's a well-known bar. There are some new ones on the scene too. One is called Booze Hounds, and that's a restaurant. It's dog-friendly, and I suppose it would be pup-friendly too, should that come up. And of course, Street Bar is now celebrating 30 years in Palm Springs, the oldest LGBT bar or gay bar in Palm Springs, and that's right on Arenas too.
So tell me, which hotels are great for the queer community while visiting?
The Barefoot Inn in Palm Springs. Of course, that is one that we would highly recommend. I like the Santiago Resort. That is not in the Warm Sands area, but it's nearby. On the higher end, we have the Hacienda at Warm Sands, which is absolutely a stunning property.
When is the best time to come to Palm Springs?
I would say that, the summertime, we get a lot of international travelers. I absolutely love the fall season in Palm Springs. I think it's one of the best times. October, our average high is 91 degrees. And of course, our Pride happens the first weekend in November every year. And typically high temperatures are in the 80s for our Pride Parade and all the things that go on in Palm Springs.
So, Brad, you are a resident of the city. What do you love about Palm Springs?
In the summertime, and actually any time of the year, I do love the getaway to the top of the Palm Springs aerial tramway. There are some wonderful hiking trails, and they're not necessarily very strenuous hiking trails. You can do some beautiful hikes that take in the vistas of the greater Palm Springs area. Our mountains are to the west of Palm Springs, and as you look east, you see the entire Coachella Valley unfold in front of you. And on a clear day, you can see everything from the Salton Sea all the way up to 29 Palms and to the Joshua Tree National Park. It's some beautiful, beautiful scenery.
Brad, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us all this information about Palm Springs.
Hello? Hey.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Brad Scully. I am not five.
Oh, hold on. Sir? We're gonna have to reroute to Manhattan. Thanks. All right, see you in a bit. I'm finally here, and I'm happy to introduce and welcome to the show, Nick Stepner. Nick, thank you so much for having us in your office. This is a great view.
Not a bad view, right? No, and thank you for coming. Appreciate it. I know you're out of breath coming off of that flight,
Yeah.
So I'm glad you made it to Midtown Manhattan to be here with us.
So tell me, what do you do for United Airlines?
So for United, I am the Director of Corporate Sales for the Greater New York region. So the entire tri-state, we work with all of our corporate customers who are based here in the city to really get them some good deals and to ensure that their travelers continue to support and fly United.
That's an exciting job and sounds incredible.
I love it.
So the all-important question, does United fly to Palm Springs?
Absolutely, we do. Yeah, and as a native Californian, very familiar with Palm Springs, a whole new meaning now being an adult and actually going to visit Palm Springs, and as a gay man, even better. Yeah, we do. And with our global network, we offer generally about 8 flights a day in and out of Palm Springs from Chicago, Denver, Houston, San Francisco, as well as Los Angeles. So you take that and extrapolate it amongst our global route network. Anyone from anywhere in the world can absolutely pop into Palm Springs.
And as someone who has recently been to Palm Springs and has visited a few times, I could account to that. Now, United has a wonderful track record with the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
Do you think that has added and contributed to the airline's success?
1000%. You know, I think one of the important things that we are so proud of is United was the first U.S. airline to offer domestic partner benefits across our entire employee group. So And that's not something that was done recently. That's been almost 30 years that we've had that in there. You know, we really moved to this model of diversity, of equity and inclusion, not just for our travelers, but also for our employees. We want to make sure that everything we do, every decision we make, has our travelers in mind and is really representative of the people that we're flying and the people that we're employing. You know, most recently we just introduced an option to allow travelers to select non-binary gender options when they're checking in.
That is actually revolutionary,
yeah,
and wonderful to be associated with such a company. And I'm, excited to keep traveling United.
Thank you,
knowing
appreciate
that,
it.
The support. So, there has been such a change in travel since, I guess, commercial airlines first started, the early 1940s. What do you see for the future for travel? What can we expect from United?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you just got off of that Connie,
right.
So you saw the props there. For United, really, we're looking at it in twofold. We're looking at it at the near future and then also the immediate future. So for the near future, we've got 270 brand new aircraft that are coming over the next few years. And most importantly, too, we're really taking a deep dive into the customer experience aspect of it. So these new planes are coming with brand new cabins, incredible in-seat entertainment at every seat, the ability to connect, your headphones through Bluetooth, finally, so no more
right.
cords to carry around. But we're taking it a step further. So we're actually going to go and just completely gut, nose to tail, all of the remainder of our aircraft in there too. So all of those modern features, from the personal television, as well as, most importantly, one-to-one bins. So every person has a space on the plane for their rollerboard. So we're trying to de-stress the entire experience. No more are you going to have to queue in line and try and run on and be the first one on the aircraft to put your bin or your bag overhead in the bin. Right? So really trying to take that stress out and make travel part of the journey and not something that people really dread having to do. Yeah, so that's kind of in the immediate future, but in the near future, super excited about a couple different initiatives that we have. We've got some electric aircraft that are coming on board, and our commitment to sustainability, we're going to be, 100% sustainable by the year 2050. So we just recently announced an order for Heart Aviation ES-19 aircraft, which are all electric. So those will be on some of the shorter routes, but give us an opportunity to, lower our carbon footprint that way. And the thing that I think I'm most excited about, coming off the Connie, you had the golden age of flight.
Right.
You think back to the sexiness of what Concorde and supersonic travel did. We recently announced a commercial partnership with Boom Aviation, which is going to allow us to bring on actual supersonic aircraft, the first U.S. airline to do so as well. The cool thing about that, with the Boom Overture aircraft, as it's being called, we can cut the time between New York and London by a couple hours in some cases. And, it's going to be revolutionary, absolutely. And especially with the sustainability aspect, all of these aircraft are going to be run on 100% sustainable aviation fuel.
That's inconceivable in this brand. That's incredible. Yeah. And actually, when you think about it, it does make sense, and that's the future. And cutting back time between, transatlantic flights is probably something that has been on aviators' minds for decades. And
absolutely.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah. To get to Amsterdam in, a mere 4 hours, how good is that going to be? Or Paris, for that matter, right?
That is, gives you a whole day to spend in the city.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much for inviting me here and for telling us all about these wonderful initiatives. And I really hope to be invited on one of your supersonic flights.
You'll be in that first flight without a doubt. I got your number. We're ready to go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Well, that was the TWA Hotel. Thanks for letting me go back in time with old Blue Eyes. It's been an absolute thrill. And listen, if you ever find yourself at JFK, hop on over here for a cocktail. It'll make you feel like $1 million. And there you have it. That's Palm Springs by way of NYC. I know I've had a blast, and I really hope you have as well. But can you believe this is the last show? It feels like it's gone by so fast. I really want to thank you guys for joining me and seeing all these places all around New York and everything we have to offer. It's truly felt like a whirlwind of a staycation. If anything, I hope it's given you some inspiration for your next trip to the Big Apple and created some wanderlust for our other 6 locations. I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll be seeing each other, but until then, I'm Justin Russo, reminding you to always wear sunscreen, and don't forget to check your luggage.
For more information on all the destinations and businesses mentioned in this episode, please visit Vacationer.travel.